Welcome to another episode of Out of the Pods. I'm Deepti.
And I'm Natalie, and happy Wednesday. Today's actually a really good Wednesday because it's nice and sunny in Chicago. And I took a really long walk this morning, like an hour-long walk, and it just has really helped with my mood. So I'm in a
Yes,
really good mood recording this.
I know. I'm in the same boat today. I feel like I woke up, the sun was shining, and I just feel just so happy today. And like I just got so much done. Truly, I feel like in the wintertime, what's been game changer is working out. Like the endorphins I get from working out have been life changing because I've just been letting
Oh
myself
no,
go.
good.
I haven't been
I
working
definitely
out.
let my
Yeah.
I feel like I have to start working out, but all I do is walk, really.
Which is
I like
perfect.
rare Yeah, and I count that as like a workout, or just getting like
Mhm.
some fresh air. But
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, the last few weeks, like recording our episodes, I've kind of been like in a down mood because of, again, like I have seasonal depression. And so I think when the weather is very dark and gloomy, it really affects my mood. So I'm
Yeah.
feeling great today. I want to ask, have you watched Squid Games The Challenge, which is the reality TV show version of Squid Games, the TV show?
No, I haven't watched it yet, but it is on my list. I've seen so many like just reactions to it and how like crazy it is. I also heard about the lawsuit. There's just like so many things going on with it.
Fun fact, my dad and I actually casted for that show. And then
Oh,
my
I
dad
remember.
dropped out. He was like, actually, I'm not doing it. Like, I don't want to be on reality TV. Um,
Could you
so,
imagine if he was on reality TV? I'm like, no, protect your dad at all costs, honestly.
so I know. Well, he was on Love is Blind.
Well, that's
And we were
different. It's like
like,
a
yeah. But we were like, oh, it'd be so fun because a Squid Games is a Korean TV show. And we're
that's
like
cool.
that would be so fun to I don't know, because I'm Korean, and I was like, it's just like really fun to like be a part of something that like kind of,
Yeah.
that I could relate to just through my
Yeah.
ethnicity.
Wait, you're Korean?
Yes, did you not know that?
Just kidding. I'm fucking with you. Wait, no,
I
I
was gonna
agree. I
say, I was
think it
like,
would have been
really?
no, I was it would have been really cool to see you on that show though.
I
But
know. I don't think I could have made it to the end. I'm just like a few episodes in, but there's just no way. I think the whole environment, like
mhm.
now watching it, knowing that my dad and I were casting for it, like it makes me watch the show in a different way.
Mhm.
Because like I'm putting myself there, like could I have really survived that, like being in a room with a bunch of people, like doing the different challenges? So it's very interesting, but I'm glad we didn't do it, because I heard about the lawsuits too, just like the
Yeah.
conditions. I did read some of the details, how like the contestants during the red light green light game, it was like several hours long, and it was so cold, people got like hypothermia or something like that,
Mhm.
or close to getting hypothermia. So, yeah, so crazy.
You know, speaking of the red light, green light game, it was so funny because there's like moments where people, obviously, like in the real Squid Games, the TV show, the fictional TV show,
Hmm.
obviously people die, and so I think on the reality version, they said make your death look as like death in quotes look as realistic as possible. And I saw some of the clips, and one of the girls was just like, oh. It just like falls over and I died laughing and I was like, wow, this is some good acting.
Oh my God, that is too funny.
It was good.
Um, Anyways, let us know
Yeah.
if you guys want us to like recap Squid Game, the challenge on the podcast. I think that it would be really fun, but I'm not sure how many people actually have watched it from our little community here. So,
Yeah, I feel
but
like a
happy
lot
to
of
talk
people
about it.
yeah, I feel like a lot of people do. Look, maybe we'll throw up a poll. Bravo and Squid Games.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know. DM us at Out of the Pods on our Instagram page. But we have a really exciting episode. We're going to talk about how you can potentially get a good edit on Love is Blind. And we have the most perfect person to talk about this, little Deepti here. A choose
We're
yourself
both
girl moment. No, I got ripped apart on our season, specifically after the altar. So, I'm a little bit more complicated, but I feel like this is something hard for us to talk about because we were not expecting the edits that we got. So it wasn't like we went into filming like kind of trying to plan or like being calculating to get the storylines we received. I know I
Yeah.
always joke being like I got ripped apart on Love is Blind, but I don't think my storyline nor edit was like I don't think my storyline or edit was that bad. Like I'm
No.
actually very satisfied with what I got because I was like, look, it was a little bit messy, but I it kind of was me and I think it was the best storyline that could have came out of such a messy situation with my fiance from the show.
Yeah, and I feel like also us being season 2, there wasn't that many like examples of what happens on the show. Not that many storylines were out there yet, but now that we're like past season 6, we're going on to season 7, I feel like a lot of people's intentions coming into the show has changed. So
You
I
mean
feel like
season 5 going to 6?
whatever. I feel like we're in like so many more. Yes, season 5 going into 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 is all on the way.
Yeah, seriously.
But I feel like there's like more blueprints now on how to kind of like navigate the show, maybe based on what the viewers are seeing, I guess, and
Yeah.
talking to past contestants. So I think this is going to be a really good episode to kind of lay it out and see like, can you achieve a good edit? Is it even possible?
Yeah, and little
Mm.
tips on how to if you go into filming authentically.
Yeah. We only like the
Just
authentic people here. The
kidding.
rest of you, goodbye. Just kidding.
um but yeah, I think now looking back on everything, I think we could talk about what we did to I wouldn't say get a good edit, but like really protect ourselves as like much as we could. Like when I say that I'm like satisfied with my storyline, I'm glad that I didn't like put all of my problems out there, like what was
Mhm.
happening in that relationship. And we kind of just, and we still, this is like the immigrant, like coming from immigrant parents, like where it's
I was
coming
just gonna
from,
say
like
I relate to
made
that.
sure like we protected our families.
Exactly. I think even coming into the filming process, I already had in the back of my mind, I'm not here just for myself. I'm representing a community, I'm representing my family, and actually my friends too. Like it reflects on all of us based on my behavior on the show. And it's like, obviously,
Yeah.
we're not bad people, but anything can happen. It was like truly like a blind experience.
Yeah. And I think too in my head, I was like, look, I'm not going to be used for the drama, even though
I
my
was like,
storyline was a little bit dramatic. But I
Yeah.
remember going in and be like, yes, I know this is a reality TV show at the end of the day, but I'm not going to put everything about me out there because I'm just here to try it out and not like give all of myself for the drama. Like it's just not who I am. I was like, look, this
Yeah.
is
And
going to be a fun experience or maybe not so fun, but a memorable experience. But like the last thing I'm going to do is kind of like sell my soul for reality
no,
TV.
especially talking about intimacy or sex. I was like, thank God I had a partner who was on the same like wavelength as me on that and the same thought process that we're not going to put our sexual life out on air to live out on Netflix for the rest of my life. Like, I mean, I talked about it a little bit, but I was like, oh, this is so
I
uncomfortable.
know. Anyways, let's get right into it. We're going to go through a series of like scenarios, questions of if doing something gets you good at it. So, first one, does saying yes at the altar, aka getting married, get you a good edit? I actually thought it did after watching season 1. Like I remember
Really?
there was a pressure. Like I'm kind of glad that I thought that way because it made me take like the pod stages a lot more seriously. I'm like, okay, I really need to assess if like someone I could marry exists here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not
Yeah.
just going to say yes to proposal to say yes to proposal because in my head I was all like it is not worth me being here and putting my life on the line and reputation on the line if I don't find someone that I could marry.
No, 100%. I think that's an interesting question because I don't think that saying yes at the altar necessarily gives you a good edit. I think it gives you more screen time because at the end of the day, Love is Blind is an experiment, and the producers and the creator of the show wants to prove that this experiment works. And so they want to highlight people who get married and kind of like showcase their complicated story. So, I mean, even if you say yes at the altar and get married, doesn't mean the journey that it took to get you there is going to be smooth, you know? Like there
I
could be
agree.
lots of negative moments and of how you treated your partner, and you could still be a shitty person based on that. You're just now have a, you know, you're a wife or a husband
No,
and a
I
shitty
I
person.
100% agree. When I watched
Mhm.
season 1 and when Lauren and Cameron and Amber and Barnett got married, I remember
Mhm.
watching that and be like, oh, like Amber and Barnett's storyline was a little bit more complicated, but regardless, like seeing like this really great love
Mhm.
stories from that season, I was like, that's what kind of gives you that memorable edit or like a good edit where there's like happiness
Mhm.
at the end. And then the only reason I thought that is like, think about the people who said no, like Damien and Giannina. Damien said no at the altar. Jessica and Mark. Jessica said no at the altar. And I feel like Damien and Jessica were kind of given like negative edits because of that. And Kelly and Kenny. Kelly
Mhm.
said no.
Yeah.
And that was a whole like, oh my God, she let him
It was
on.
more
Like,
on
I can't believe she,
Kelly.
yeah, yeah. So
Mhm.
that's why I was like, okay, I don't want to be in that position. And I
Yeah.
was very nervous to say no on my wedding day because I
Yeah.
was all like, I am going to look like a piece of shit. Like, I'm going to look like I led Shane on.
Mhm.
Like, I was
Yeah.
nervous that was going to be my storyline. But you're right. Like, saying yes at the altar no longer gets you good at it.
No,
It's
and
really
that's
based on like your storyline.
it's funny to think about it in retrospect and like look at all of the details and how everything planned out. But like, I never in my mind thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a negative edit. Cause I truly was just like, I'm a good person. I did nothing. Like, there's no way I'm going to. And it didn't even register that saying no could get you that negative edit. But if went into Love is Blind and I was filming, like, say, the next season, I feel like I would think about it. I'd be like, wow, like, look at the trajectory of people who have said no and how it kind of ended up for them, because ultimately, again, it comes back to the whole thing of this: they want this experiment to work and they want you to be willing to say yes.
Well, I
So
actually disagree with you. I feel like your storyline changed people filming in later
mhm.
for the later seasons
No, I
because I think
agree.
your storyline was the first time where someone said no got like a really powerful storyline. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like there have been people in the seasons after us who have tried to like kind of copy like what you did, like kind of have a speech to explain why you were saying no,
Mhm.
and like kind of make it into more of like a I choose myself. PSA to everyone who has not bought their holiday gifts yet. Our secret source is Uncommon Goods. UncommonGoods.com has the absolute best original gifts for everyone in your life, your besties, your kids, your parents, your nieces and nephews, anyone.
Even me. A unique gift idea that really caught my eye on uncommongoods.com was the cooking and mixology classes. I think this is such a great idea to give somebody who loves doing activities in your life, but also, honestly, I'm going to give this to myself because during the holiday season, I just love to host. And I think these classes can really help me elevate my hosting game and like learn more about cooking and making drinks. Sign me up.
Yeah. And the best thing about Uncommon Goods is that with every purchase you make on uncommongoods.com, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. And they've donated more than $2.5 million to date. So you can feel really good about your purchase. And we have a really good code that we can share with you to get 15% off your next gift. Go to uncommongoods.com/holidaypod.
That's uncommongoods.com/holidaypod for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
Speaking about what you say at the altar, do you think like choosing yourself or having the choose yourself moment like you did gets you a good edit?
Absolutely not. I feel like there's some people, I'm not going to name names, but like truly, I think it's really about how respectful you are to your partner, to your castmates, everything. I think that like if obviously the situation calls for it and you're like I am no longer like I'm not going to put myself in a position where I'm going to say yes and you want to I think it's important that you articulate it properly to your partner and not put them down in the process because again that's staying true to who you are, at least for me. But again, like you know what the difference is though, Nat? Like I would love to get your opinion is like if you're just that's just how you do things, do you want to like do you change who you are as a person to say no properly, choose yourself properly, you know what I mean? I don't know, like be who you are, I guess, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, right?
Here's my thing about does it get you a good edit? I think that it does get you a good edit. Like in your case, when it was like, it was a valid reason to choose yourself.
Yeah.
And I
But
think you did it as
there's been
there,
other
and I
valid
think you did it
reasons.
respectfully. No,
Yeah.
100%. But like, here's where I don't think it could get you a good edit is if the storyline and the reasons are not there. I think for
Mm-hmm.
you based on like what I remember through filming and talking with you and Shake, you weren't like deciding to choose yourself in the beginning. Like you were very much,
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was an instance with Shake where him, Shane and I were in the gym in our shared apartment complex where I was like, what are you going to say at the altar? And he goes, I'm not sure yet, like 90% no, but like 10% like we'll
Mm-hmm.
see. Like there's still a chance. And I remember asking you the same thing where you're like, I would love to get married, but I don't know if Shake is there yet. Like this was in the
Mm-hmm.
way beginning before like, things kind of the dominoes started to fall type of
Yeah.
thing. Like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
we didn't know what he was saying about you and you didn't know either. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like a contestant can't go in and be like, I'm gonna say no at the altar and you're just kind of going to make up a reason or try to make a reason happen. No, it has to be like authentic. It
Right,
has to be like you
exactly.
are choosing yourself because someone didn't treat you right. Like you can't
Mm-hmm.
just like make up a scenario. That's where it's not, you just can't plan that way.
Yeah. And also, it's interesting because I feel like some participants have valid reasons from their perspective to say no, but to the public, it seems like superficial or it seems
Yeah,
like it's like a small thing, you know? And so it can be played in a way where it seems like you're saying no for like very trivial reasons, but to you, it could
I
be like a
agree.
big deal, you know? So it's like it really is so dependent on how people perceive it,
And how
truly.
it's edited too.
A hundred
Like, does it
percent.
make sense based on the footage? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
like expressions, everything. Like the facial expressions are huge in editing.
yeah. The two things that I'm thinking about, like two choose myself moments that I think about are Zanab's and Stacy's. So Zanab from season 3 and Stacy from season 5.
Mm-hmm.
Zanab, I remember there were people saying like Zanab like copied Deepti's storyline. I don't think that's true because season 3 was filming pretty much at the same time
Same
as us.
time.
So like Zanab never saw Deepti's storyline.
Never. I know. I was getting
Yeah.
so pissed when I got that. I was like, you guys have no idea. Like, calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember her like choose myself moment came off differently because we just didn't see it. It felt like more like he would go after her, she would go after him. It was kind of like, and
Yeah,
then
it
she had a
was.
whole speech and we didn't know like where is all this anger like really coming from? Like we just
And
never saw it.
And I think that's the difference, Natalie. You nailed it. Is like it was anger. I think for me, I even though like I just knew that me and Shake weren't going to be together, I think I wanted to leave it like, oh my gosh, we're going to be friends, and that was my mentality. I have no idea if I was angry in the moment or I held a lot of resentment, how it would have ended up, you know. So it's like I think it encompasses all of the emotions that she was feeling, and that's how she like expressed herself and her words. But it looked really bad on screen, even though those feelings may have been valid. Oh, and
I
again, power
agree.
of editing.
I think Stacy too. I think Stacy used the reason of like how Izzy wasn't ready, like specifically financially
Hmm.
for marriage. But I think where hers, she still ended up not getting a good edit, unfortunately, is like her storyline didn't really allow her to get that I choose myself moment. Like, this isn't right for me type of thing, because it was so messy. Because there's other things that, other drama that she was a part of, like, the drama with Johnny. And then, people were very critical of Stacey too, like being so much, into like the finer things in life. So it
Lots of
really comes
layers.
down, you cannot control the editing. Like, if you think you could kind of force a choose myself storyline, you cannot.
Does watching what you say give you a good edit?
I think it helps give you a good edit. I
Okay.
think that I think this is something you and I did very well during filming. And I think it is just because it's our personalities and just kind of like what's important to us. But you and I never talked negatively about any other cast member
Yes.
during filming. I remember we were like the few cast members who just like refused to talk negatively about other cast members, specifically the other women.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like you're right in the sense that like you don't if you just like kind of keep to your own relationship and concentrate on maybe like a few of the friendships, whenever producers would try to probe at me, they like and ask me like juicy questions like about what's going on with other cast people, like cast couples and things like that. I'd
Mm-hmm.
be like, I literally would be like, I have no idea what is happening, like don't even ask me. But
Yeah.
I
Even
remember
if you
mom,
knew, right?
even if I knew, I'd just be like, no, I don't know
Same.
shit.
Yeah.
But and I'm like, just leave me alone. How many
I'd
times
be
can
like,
I
I don't
say
talk
it?
to them. I'd
Yeah,
be like,
which
I don't know
truly
what's going on.
I truly kind of didn't. But
That's true.
even though the small things I did, I was just like, what? But
Yeah.
even when like producers would ask you like I don't know about other castmates specifically, like if you're jealous of this person or if you know like them talking shit about you, blah, blah, blah. It's like if you don't have the emotional intelligence to see and identify the manipulation happening in the very moment, like it's so hard to survive in this. And it'll make your chances of getting a good edit less, you know?
100%. I get a lot of questions about a specific couple from our season, and I could
Mm-hmm.
tell they were a little bit on the messier side. So I felt like they wanted me to say something more negative.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
and I'm not going to lie, I think in real life they were, they were like going through their ups and downs. But I remember
Mm-hmm.
I said, I was like, I don't know anything that's happening with them. I think they're really happy. I'd be like, I think they're just like really enjoying each
They're
other,
really good. Dude, I even
even though they weren't.
remember when you came to me and told me, you're like, they asked me questions about you. And I was like, what? And we both, thank
Yeah,
God we talked about it because we're like, that's so weird. Like,
I
we
know.
never had any conflict ever during filming. So I was like, where is this coming from?
Um, I know. I remember that. And that I think is really important when it comes to a cast of like talk to each other. Be like, are they saying this to you about me? And then clear it up if it's not true, or, if it is true. Like I for me, I think what bothered me was like if I did want to say something, I would always say
Mm-hmm.
it privately to the person first. I
Yeah.
was like, the first time I say something about someone, it's not going to be on camera. It's going to be straight to that person's face.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I think
It's
that was like so important. But yeah, I think that, so I do think that like kind of keeping to yourself, watching what you say does help with your edit, because they can't edit you saying something bad. But the thing is that editing is magic. They could
it's
have you saying,
magic.
yeah. I mean, think about it in the pods. Like, we're filming for like really long days and you can't control everything you say. Like, you might be talking to a cast member about, like maybe reacting and be like, oh, that's fucked up. And you're talking about like a
I don't know, the
broken vase.
champagne. Yeah, who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah,
Like
or
something
like something, or like
random.
something so random, but that
Mm-hmm.
could be used in another scene, like that sound bite. So
You
it's, and yeah.
You know what I think about sometimes? I literally, because we're on screen so much and they have so much footage of us, I don't think people realize that there was literally like 50,000 plus hours of footage. So
Yeah.
I literally, sometimes I think about it, I'm like, there's probably like a deep tea section, there's probably like a Natalie section, and then they have like anger, happiness, sadness, and it's all like different faces just like ready to go
Yeah.
for each scene. Like it's just so funny, but literally even just like a prime example would be in After the Altar. I remember when there was drama between you and Shayna, and because I think Shayna just walked into your
Oh,
birthday
my birthday
party.
party.
And I remember they like flipped my head backwards to go look at the drama. And I was like, that is clearly edited. You guys could have at least been more subtle about it.
Yeah.
But I remember
No,
questioning myself and be
100%.
like, did I do that? And I'm like, no, I didn't. So
I
again,
know,
the editing
same.
thing.
I like watched like there's like facial expressions where I was like, I know I didn't react like that to like a certain scene, but I feel like I was reacting to something else, like something like not even related to
Not
the
even
scene
related.
happened. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, if like a flower pot falls and I like look like at it
Like,
really intensely and it's used in a scene and after the altar, I was like, huh? Like what?
yeah.
As if I'm like looking at Shayna or like being weird. So I think what I would say is watching what you say helps with your
Mm-hmm.
edit, but it doesn't secure you a good edit.
No. No, it does not. And it truly you can't even control your facial expressions or anything. You're human and you're just going through, just filming and like interacting with your castmates. There's just no way you can control your face. Like literally unless you're a robot and you just like don't move.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess if you have really good Botox, you might be a little bit better. No, not really much expression. Taking a quick pause here to rave about my Miracle Made sheets again. My sleep has improved so much already. Usually I get so hot at night, and the Miracle Made sheets have been helping me stay cool throughout the entire night. And here's a fun fact. Did you guys know that traditional bed sheets you sleep on can harbor more bacteria than a toilet seat?
That's actually really disgusting. And I feel some sort of way because I'm such a huge germaphobe.
Yes. Apparently, it can also lead to acne, allergies, and even stuffy noses. But Miracle Made offers a whole line of self cleaning bedding, such as sheets and pillowcases, that prevent 99% of that bacteria.
So I said this in our previous episode. I actually use Miracle Made sheets, and these sheets are inspired by NASA, which I think is so cool. And I love these types of products. I think it makes such a good gift for friends and family, especially for the upcoming holiday season. If you want to give the gift of quality sleep too, go to trymiracle.com/out of the pods to try it today or gift it to someone special this holiday season.
And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Save over 40%. And if you use our promo code out of the pods at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%.
But speaking about interacting with your other castmates, does having good relationships with other cast members on your season get you a good edit? And this is during filming.
I think
I'm
this
saying no to
is
this.
Oh, does yeah, honestly, I really think that it's a delicate balance. And truly for me, I think keeping to myself and my own relationship because it was so fucked up that I'm really truly glad that I wasn't really that close to you guys during filming. Like I literally did
Mm.
my own thing. And so when people did ask me about shit, I was like, I literally don't know what's happening. I think there's some moments, but I was just
Well,
like, no, not really.
well, none of us were close. I think I was the
No.
closest with Ayana, but I never talked to you, Danielle, Mallory. We had like hangouts for sure, but I
Yeah.
think we were all kind of like very like we want to protect ourselves a lot, so we kind of did not say a lot.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know if that
honestly,
makes
I wanted to
sense.
be out of sight, out of mind a little bit. And I never thought to myself, oh my gosh, like my other castmates are getting questions asked about me until producers asked me about other castmates. And then I was like, oh
Yes.
shit. I was like, then I
Yeah.
started registering. I was like, fuck, does that mean like people are talking about me too, you know? But yeah, all in all, I think if you
Yeah.
lead with good intention and truly I cared about every single one of you, and I think like hopefully that like shine through. But
Yeah. Well, I don't think it actually helps. I think that I like the
Really?
friendships we made from filming. Yeah, because think about someone from our cast who was asked a lot of questions about other cast members, and she would respond very negatively because she said she felt the pressure to respond negatively. Because I think she got a little bit selfish and she was more like, we felt like if we spoke negatively about you guys, like it would kind of protect us. She was talking
Mm-hmm.
about her and her
Yeah.
partner from the show.
Yes.
But I was really shocked because I was like, I thought we were friends. I
Mm-hmm.
remember she apologized after filming was done, but I was all like, that's really shitty because what you said about me, thankfully, none of it made the show.
Yeah, but the damage is done.
The damage is done. I was like, why
Mm-hmm.
are you saying stuff about me where you know it could end up on the show and you're saying things that you say you don't mean? And
Mm-hmm.
like you think apologizing to us afterward is really going to make a difference. So I
Yeah.
remember having a lot of anxiety about like what she said about like me and other cast members before the show came out because I was like, what the heck? So what I'm trying to say is like good relationships with other cast members, I think they're important to an extent and it's good just to be nice to everyone. Like you guys are all kind
Yeah.
of in the same boat, just like we were very close with our cast because we're all going through the same experience. But
Mm-hmm.
don't think that that will save you. Like
Yeah.
if you if you have a cast member who is not, I don't want to say smart enough, but I want to say it's more like,
It's emotional intelligence in the moment, I feel
yeah,
like.
it's
Yeah.
like they're willing to talk shit about anyone in hopes to get a better edit.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're going to do it because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, reality TV is a very selfish experience.
Wholeheartedly, because there's other intentions involved than just falling in
Yeah.
love. Yeah.
And
No,
it sucks.
wholeheartedly. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like for me, I think I like just tend to believe that people are good, but I do agree with you like during filming, like I said, I think it's very much a delicate balance of like you want to be caring and kind to people and there for them because we're all going through the same experience, but also at the same time be careful not to trust everyone and do not tell everyone about your relationship. I kept most things to myself except for like the big things. And I think that was like really positive for me because no one knew what the fuck was going on besides me,
No, I
really.
agree.
Yeah.
So,
Don't divulge too much information because
yeah.
people might say it in interviews.
I agree. You got to like kind of
Hmm.
keep to yourself. But even then, because I kept to myself a lot, like I did not share, any
Hmm.
issues Shane and I had. But, the producers were still able to find cast members to speak negatively about us just based on how they like judged like Shane and I as people being in a relationship. I remember one of the cast members said like, "Oh, I don't know them, but like together it doesn't make sense to me, so I don't think they're going to work." It's like those types of things or like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like she's too uptight and he's too whatever." Like people will still talk to kind of just to
Just talk.
talk and get screen time. I
Yeah.
mean, when I saw Nick talk negatively about me on the show, I was shocked cuz he acted like my friend and
Hmm.
I had no idea he was like saying that like oh like saying that I was like I forget what he said. I think he was just like Natalie's so weird or something during the
Hmm.
bonfire scene or making it seem like I was super insecure during the bonfire scene during our season
Yeah.
before Shane and Shayna talked on the beach and I was like what the fuck Nick like
Yeah.
like
You know,
I had a good relationship with him.
yeah, and it's interesting also because I think that bleeds into our next thing of do you think that being friends with your producers will get you a good edit? Because sometimes I feel like, again, it goes back to producers will plant a seed in the person that they're interviewing in their minds and like provoke a thought that you were never going to have in the first place. And it's like, I never even thought about that. Why are you bringing this up? And so it kind of like gets your mind flowing. And then you end up saying things in interviews that you don't really mean, you know?
I am so busy this holiday season. Is anyone in the same boat? Because 2 weeks ago, I just didn't have time to cook. And so I came home starving. I cleared out my pantry and I literally ate the worst snacks. But I'm so glad that I have Factor, which is America's #1 ready to eat meal delivery service. They can help me eat well all day with their chef prepared and dietitian approved ready to eat meals that are delivered straight to my door.
Yes, Factor is so delicious. I actually do their calorie smart meals, which has around or less than 550 calories per serving. They also have protein plus meals with 30 grams of protein or more per serving. This helps me just stay on track with a healthy lifestyle and, adhere to my fitness goals. And the meals are ready in just 2 minutes. All you have to do is heat it up and eat it. Super easy.
Yeah. Amazing. And we have a good code for you guys. Head to factormeals.com/out of the pods 50 and use code out of the pods 50 to get 50% off.
That's code out of the pods 50 at factormeals.com/ out of the pods 50 to get 50% off. So I think that goes back to, so does being friends with producers get you a good edit?
Fuck no. This is like an absolute no. Can I tell you why? Okay. Well, you were in a unique position where you
Yeah.
were good friends with your producer, but I don't think you got a good edit because you were friends
No, and
with
I
your
have some thoughts on
producer.
this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But here's why I think no. Shayna was very, very close with her producer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she did not think that she was going to be the villain or one of the villains of our season. I hate saying villain, but you know what I mean. Like, she didn't think that she was going to get a bad edit. She
Yeah.
was certain that her producer was going to protect her.
Mm-hmm.
I think she found out she was going to be the quote unquote villain of our season when she was doing pre-show interviews with you and Ayana. Like,
Mm-hmm. I
didn't an interviewer
remember.
ask her, like, what's it like being the villain of your season? She was like, what?
Yeah. She
I
was
don't
like,
know,
huh?
like the
Yeah. I remember that.
so she was very close with her producer and I think confided in her producer a lot and did really trusted her producer to kind of like protect her. And I think her producer would like suggest that she did things during our season, like that
Mm-hmm.
beach talk she had with
Yeah.
Shane. And she did it thinking like it would actually come off good.
Fine.
like
Yeah.
she like she thought that it would actually like make her look better, and obviously the complete opposite happened. So
Mm-hmm.
in that way I'm like, look, I don't think being friends and putting your trust in your producer gets you a good edit, because at the end of the day a producer's role is like to make a really good TV show. And
Mm-hmm.
so like regardless of like how they feel about you personally or not, they're going to do like their job, which is make interesting TV.
Yeah, I think okay, so there's a couple, I have a lot of thoughts on this because okay, one, I was really good friends with my producer. That's for a fact. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they have any involvement really in your edit, because truly there's producers who like come, who like obviously help guide and like film everything from the show, but at the end of the day there's editors behind the scenes doing all of that work. Once a producer is done with the show, they're like goodbye, they move on to the next show. And so it's like, yes, you can have a really good relationship with your producer, and that can only get you so far in the sense that, like, oh, they go back and they're like, okay, we're going to give her a good storyline. So let's like extract like content that's like on a more positive note from her. And then, like, the trajectory of, or like, what they ask other castmates is like a little bit different than what they would ask me. So I think that's where like the relationship with the producer can come into play a little bit. And I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, just because you're close to producers doesn't mean anything. Yes, that means that maybe you can get a little bit more screen time, but truly it is, at the end of the day, it's left up to the editors and how every single storyline comes together.
I think it also depends on what they determine your storyline to be. I mean,
Oh,
this is just
100%.
reality TV one on one. Certain roles on the cast are predetermined based on the first few days or few weeks of filming. They kind of get a
Yeah.
sense of like, who's going to be like the villain, who's going to be really messy, who's going to be
Yeah.
like, I think for you, like, this really powerful storyline, knowing that the producer saw what Shake was saying about you before any of the
Mhm.
cast members did, like based on what he
Yeah.
was saying in his confessional interviews. So I
Right.
think that might have helped with your relationship with the producer, with your producer, knowing that they're like, she's with like, you know,
Uh,
not a good
yeah.
person. So like
Right.
she's gonna get a good edit type of thing. I
100%.
think about like Shayna a lot, having us all having witnessed that of like how close she was with her producer and trusted him, and yet it
Mhm.
kind of backfired on her.
Right.
And I think it all came down to also intention. Like
Mhm. I
Look,
agree.
there's no drama with Shayna and I now. I'm like very happy for her and we're like very cordial. But I think at the time, like, I don't know if like, I don't think she got engaged to Kyle for like the right intentions, you know?
No,
And
neither
I
of
think
them got engaged to each
producers,
other. Yeah.
no, 100%. That was really just like a fake relationship for screen time, which sucks that
Hmm.
we kind of witnessed that, but we were like, it's not our business. But I think producers saw that and they're like, hey, like, let's just, like, we know they're not going to
Let's
end up
run with it.
together, get married. Let's run with it. And like, she's willing to do anything. Like, we're going to kind of make her the villain.
No,
I, that's
truly.
what, that's what I really thought. So, but on
Yeah.
the flip side, my producer hated me.
Oh, I know. I remember. He was
So
very
that's
close
why
to
I think
Shane.
he was very close to Shane. Shane actually thought he was going to get like the prime time edit, which he kind of did on our season,
Which
but
is
he thought,
fine.
I remember when we were dating after a wedding day, he would tell me, he goes, yeah, you're so fucked. Like, you're not going to get a good edit. And he would straight up tell me that, Shane, because he was so
Hmm.
sure that our producer was going to protect Shane. And because my producer didn't like me, like, I was going to get the way negative edit
Yeah.
in our relationship. So I remember feeling a lot of anxiety. But I guess what I'm trying to say, like, just mentioning that, is going back to the question, does being friends with your producer get you a good edit? I think it can help, but it really is determined. Like, the biggest factor is, does it make sense based on your storyline?
Exactly, because your producers can only do so much. But I do have to say, like, your producers, all the producers on the show, they really get to know every single one of us so much. They know what we're saying, they know what we're thinking based on our journals, they know what other people are saying about us. So they have so much info on us. So they know when we're being like, we're moving with good intentions or we're being like super fake. And it's really hard to hide after a while. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it necessarily can give you a bad edit, but it can play a role.
Yeah,
Producers do
100%.
play a role. Yeah.
I think if you like are I think if you are close with your producer and you're ready, like, getting like your storyline is more in your favor, like, it's, you're let's say in your case you're with someone who is just saying crazy things. I think it helps getting a good edit, like having a producer who like guides you through it and
Hmm.
helps you almost like choose yourself, like gets you to that realization and guides you and asks the right questions in your
Hmm.
interview so you could articulate and
Yeah.
get the footage to help with your storyline.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, I think that on the other hand, like, being friends with the producers, if it's already predetermined you're going to be a villain, they're going to
they're going
that's
to
their
get
job, is going to lead
content
you to content, making you giving
look that
they're going
way.
to unfortunately have to get content to get you that villain role and also take advantage of the trust you have in that person,
Yeah, and
in
sometimes
that
if the
producer.
yeah, and sometimes if the character is right, it's so easy to get that footage of someone being shitty because they just truly are a shitty person. So it's easy. But yeah, truly though, my producer was definitely like my therapist, and I felt like I was like, wow, I'm like actually working through all of my issues like with you on screen, which is wonderful to witness.
Yeah.
But
I think you got lucky of, I love your producer too, but I also think you got very lucky in having her, and also just,
yeah.
her. And also, I think you just being a more authentic person. Like, I don't think you could ever be a villain, You weren't willing to like put everything on your line just for screen time. I remember talking to you, you were like, it is what it is. Like, whatever, I'm just going to keep quiet and stick to myself.
Obviously my storyline, I think the reason why I looked so good and came off so well on the show, which I am a good person, but I came off even better because I was with somebody who was kind of on the shittier side. They were obviously the villain. I was engaged to the villain of my season. And so that's an interesting thing. So, hypothetically, do you think that getting into a relationship with somebody who is disliked or almost the villain gets you a better edit? Hypothetically.
I think that yes, it does help if someone is like extremely negative. But the thing is, there's no way for you to determine if you're getting into a relationship with someone who is going to be one of the villains of your season.
Yeah.
I remember someone commented or like DM'd me about this, like way when the show came out. It was like, I know you just chose Shane because you wanted to like get a good edit. I was like, you think I could have figured that
What?
out? I was all like,
Yeah. You
obviously in those
mastermind.
pod dates, I was like, look, I think I have like, you know, like self a lot of like awareness,
Yeah,
but I was like, I'm
absolutely.
not that aware. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not that
You're not
smart.
that powerful. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, because here's the thing. I think the negative scenes viewers saw of Shane in the pods, like I did not see. I did not see him
Exactly.
flirting with Shayna. I did not see him like, you know, like, I don't know, saying weird things in like the men's lounge. Like I did not
Yeah,
see
or
that because
even
in our
Shake on the
dates,
other hand, just like talking
yes.
negatively or like asking women dumb questions. Yeah.
Because here's the thing, I think in the pod dates, everyone puts their best foot forward. So it's hard to gauge
Hmm.
who's
Good or
who's
bad
like
or
yeah, who's
yeah.
unlikable or who's going to be the villain because like you're also it's just you can't gauge it because there is someone from our season who got a good edit, but I
Yeah.
would say like it was much more complex in real life where there's people who did not like him.
Yeah. Saw
And
the
like
other side.
I remember thinking before the show came out, like, I don't think he's going to get a very good edit. And he did. And like, it was
Hmm.
very surprising. So it's hard to gauge in real life how editing is going to go because it
Yes. And
happens way after the fact.
exactly. And the person that you're talking about, he got a good edit because the person that he was with was the one who was being disliked or was like considered villainous. So
Yeah,
it's very
exactly.
much like makes you look a lot better. And it's like interesting the parallels because I think I'm actually a good person. So I deserve the good edit. Whereas some cases where you're with somebody that's worse than you and you get a good edit, but you're not that great of a person, you know? So
Yeah.
it's very interesting. And I think like one more layer too on top of that is your producers or your castmates, I don't know, your friends, family, whatever, they may when you're filming, like it can appear a certain way, and like producers or editors are like, oh my gosh, like the storyline is going to be this amazing thing for this person, or it's going to be this villain edit for this person. They can think all of those things, but when the show airs, how the public perceives you can be totally different. And I think that is like such a big distinction to make is that, you know, just people can see it so differently and it's all so subjective at the end of the day, you know? So that's like another layer to it too. It's like, what does the good role even mean? Does a good role, good, like, does a good edit mean you're entertaining, you're funny, you're memorable? Does a good edit mean, oh, you came off as a good person, or, you know, you're just like a likable character? Like, I don't know. It's like so subjective. It's just
Well, I think a
interesting.
good edit in my eyes is like when most of the viewers views favorably about someone, like this person is likable. So that's where I think
Hmm.
about good edit because I do think that editing is not always that subjective. Like someone is meant to look for the most part good. Like they are
Yeah.
just a likable person. So for me, that's where I think about good edit.
Hmm.
It's
Like a positive
where
edit.
yeah, it's like positive
Hmm.
and you know, you don't most viewers like really like the person based on the edit that they're seeing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, hypothetically, I think that getting into a relationship with someone who is unlikable on the show helps with your edit, right? They're not going to make two very unlikable people. Maybe
I mean,
they
maybe they
do, but
will. I
like,
was just gonna
but I
say.
yeah, but I think it helps when like one person is like extremely unlikable when if
Hmm.
you're in a relationship with them. I think though it's not a good strategy going into the pods and trying to do that, right? Especially for
No.
someone who may be going into Love is Blind, knowing they don't want to be married and really just going in for more screen time or clout, whatever. It's not a good strategy. There's just no
No.
way it's going to happen. You can't assess it. You can't
Yeah.
assess if you are getting into a relationship with a villain.
Yeah.
It's
There's
just not
just
a
like,
thing.
there's so many different layers and possibilities of what people can say and how you act or how the editing goes. There's just literally no way to come into the situation and the show of Love is Blind and say, I'm going to get a favorable or good edit. There's just no fucking way to do it. And do you think that like you could do that on other reality TV shows? Because I think truly, if you want to like control some sort of edit or I don't know, or even come in with inauthentic intentions, don't choose Love is Blind because that's the hardest one. I feel like go on The Bachelor, go on Too Hot to Handle. People expect it from you. I'm just kidding. It's so bad. But you know what I mean? Like it's a
You know,
marriage show. It's like it's so serious. And so I'm just like, don't pick Love is Blind if you're fake. Like I hate that shit. I don't
yeah,
know.
here's the thing. I think the viewership of Love is Blind, it's like the concept of the show, you think more like, I think it's like viewers, I mean, me included, we're just more judgy. It's just more of a serious
Oh,
show to watch because like you're debating on getting married at the end of it. And so I think that there's just, I think viewers can be more judgmental of the contestants versus, Too Hot to Handle, where you already know it's kind of like a messy, wild show. Even The
mm-hmm.
Bachelor, too, like you kind of know like
Yeah.
everyone is a little bit younger. It's just an engagement at the end. So you're like,
Yeah.
the serious aspect is just not there versus saying I do at the altar, trying to determine if you're going to say I do or I don't at the altar. So I guess what we're saying with, after answering all these questions is I think there's some things you can do. I think you
Mm-hmm.
can do things like watching what you say and really just like going in with the best intentions. Like, don't do things for screen time. Don't use
Mm-hmm.
people for screen time. Don't talk negatively about your cast members unless you feel like you just want to, like, you feel propelled to just, stick up for yourself or stick up for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, you don't control anything.
No.
Like, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it comes down to editing and footage. And so, like, all you can really do is go through that process as authentically as possible because everything is out of your freaking hands.
Yeah. No, I truly agree with you. And I think, like, not to like say that it's about me in any way, but like the only example I can think of is mine just because I've been through it. And in my case, like I did do that. I kept to myself mostly and I didn't give them a lot of like footage in my personal interviews and things. And if I'm being truly honest, I didn't have that much screen time on the show. The only reason I blew up so much is because I led with good intentions and I did the right thing for me at the altar. And that's really what made me a memorable character on the show. And so again, I
She
think
said
that
that in quotes for
yeah, I
anyone
did say that in
listening.
quotes. I was
She
like, I was
said
kind of
character.
memorable. Yeah. So I agree with you. I think like if you try to, the more you try to control, the less yourself you're going to be. And that's
Yeah.
where you're going to get into hot water. It's like, so just, yeah, like Natalie said, lead with pure intentions and be there for the right reasons and everything will fall into place.
I mean, look, I was definitely not on the same boat as you. I mean, I got a messier storyline.
Well,
Um,
you had a really messy storyline. That was a hard
but,
one.
uh, and, I'm not going to say I was authentic 24/7. Like, I've been honest. I
Mm-hmm.
went on the show not thinking like I was actually going to get engaged, but I was like, this is kind of cool experience. Like, let's just see where it goes. And so, but I think like going through it, I was like, look, my relationship with my fiance was not fake. Like, I thought I was going to get married.
No.
And then and then things happened at the end that made me say no at the altar.
But
But,
Natalie, you did lead, but I feel like you did lead with authenticity there because your
yeah.
intentions were to continue a relationship and like be really in it. Like I truly remember talking to you and you were like in love.
I guess what I'm saying though is like, yeah, I think if you do the show, not you just you can't plan to do the show. You just have to kind of take in every experience, but also try to like hold on to your values during filming, and I think you will
Mm-hmm.
be okay. And to anyone who doesn't get a good edit on a reality TV show like Love Is Blind, also it's tough. I bet look, like the judgment, the comments, the DMs, they're tough, especially when they're negative.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if you go through it as authentically as you can, which I'm sure you guys are like buzzword of the fucking day, like stop saying it, but really like not going in using people and not doing things you wouldn't do in real life. And, but also like knowing that what you say and do will be on screen and kind of also like protecting yourself, like
Yeah.
you'll be okay. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, I
glad I didn't
agree.
do anything so dumb on TV that I'm like, I regret it. And, you know, like I have so much anxiety and regret over that. Like I'm not in that position.
Yeah, and I think like also to the cast members who are in that position, I think the one good thing about it is that on like social media is such a double-edged sword, and sometimes it can really like be painful, but at the same time you can also have the opportunity to kind of show up as yourself and control that version of you on social media, and you know the right people will come to you, I feel like, and really help put your authentic self out there. Ooh, authentic again. Every time we say authentic, someone should take a shot, honestly, in this
Literally, then I'd
episode.
be like blacked
Yeah.
out on this podcast
Yeah.
episode.
I truly loved this episode because I think it's just so fun to like look at our experience and see how far we've come, and also to think about it like retrospectively. I think it's kind of therapeutic. But to our listeners, if you guys have any questions or comments about this episode, reach out to us at our Instagram page at Out of the Pods.
And make sure you leave a review and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.
Bye.